guys, welcome back to Cakes by Chopper. Today we're going to do Spider-Man. I use a toothpick to mark out the shape of the face that I want, and then carefully cutting around the edge, I will just separate the cake from the sides. And there's a little technique here of slicing it into 4 sections, and then you pull the corners out. That helps to not destroy the shape that you've just cut. Then we'll flip the cake over onto the cake board that you're going to use. And this reveals the top of the banana bread where I've cut the baked part off so it doesn't have thick crust at the top. Now I'm just trimming the edges to make the face a little more rounded on the corners. This helps create the smooth face around. By using this bread and butter knife, you're sort of pushing the icing into the cake. This creates a barrier for when you add the rest of your icing and your crumbs don't get mixed up and shown through it. I find this a lot easier, and when I put the smoothing tool over the top, you get this nice even layer of icing. This extra dollop of icing is going to become Spider-Man's nose because I'm going for a more realistic mask rather than just a flat one. You just put it in the middle and then work it out. You draw in the eyes like I have here, and that helps you give the right dimensions for his face. Then it's just a matter of smoothing it until you're happy with it, and then we're on to rolling our white icing. This is just royal icing I get from the supermarket. It's in little packets in the baking section. You've seen me roll that before, so I've applied it onto the top. Smooth it around, making sure you've got the right texture over the mask, and then cut it and take away excess icing. Once the icing's on and you're happy with it, I use a toothpick to mark out where the eyes are. This is a good guide for when you're painting, as you'll see here in a second. And I lightly run in the mask lines. You don't need to do that step, but when you're painting you need to really pay attention to the eyes because you don't want to go too far in because you're using the white icing for the whites of his eyes. I recently received a private message on YouTube about why I use the food colouring and paint it onto the icing rather than just colouring the icing. Because I just buy this from the supermarket, to add red dye to white icing, it turns it a very pink colour. And it's really hard to get close to red unless you're buying it already professionally made. So I find it's a lot easier just to paint it on. It doesn't affect the taste or the flavour. So that's the reason why I use the food colouring. When painting on the details of the mask, I've just used a cheap set of paintbrushes that you can pick up from any craft store or news agency. And I use scissors to angle the brushes and trim them down a bit to get the finer detail. I find this is so much easier than cutting out icing or any other technique. And if you're not a good painter, you can always do the transfer method, which is the Ghostbuster video. Using the toothpick to pre-draw your lines at this stage is a really great tip. This helps you get the right one without actually painting it on and having to remove it because that is a real pain. And you just go through, draw in the lines. You can have a picture reference if you need it. I'm a big fan of Spider-Man, so I've sort of got him in my head. And then you just go through by dipping the toothpick in the black dye and running it along. This gives you a nice fine line, and it's a lot easier to do with the toothpick than it is the paintbrush. Just continue that all the way around, and we get ready to finish the cake off. finish off Spider-Man, I used the offcuts of the white icing, used a bit of gel food dye to turn it blue, lined the bottom of the cake, and then used the impression tool to make it a little bit fancy, and there you're done. There's the Spider-Man cake. I want to take this time to thank everybody for subscribing, and if you're new, go check out my other cake videos. Thanks a lot guys for watching, and here's to more cake!